Good morning, I'm Kenneth Moten.
And I'm Janae Norman. Here are the top 5 things to know this Tuesday. Number 1, the extreme weather.
A possible tropical storm is brewing in the Gulf of Mexico. It could impact millions of Americans later this week with heavy rainfall.
It comes after a record storm slammed the D.C. area Monday with nearly 1 month's rain in just one morning. The water level in a stream in Virginia rose by 11 feet in just an hour.
Elsewhere this morning, flash flooding is reported in parts of Nebraska and the Dakotas.
Number 2, President Trump says he will no longer deal with the British ambassador to the U.S. after finding out that the ambassador called him inept and insecure.
Ambassador Kim Derrick was disinvited from a dinner with the president last night. In memos leaked to the press, Derrick also warned that President Trump may be indebted to the Russians.
The Sun newspaper reports the British government is investigating whether Russia hacked into the ambassador's memos.
On to number 3, another possible candidate running for president.
California billionaire Tom Steyer is expected to announce his campaign for the White House today, months after saying he would not run. Steyer has spent millions of dollars calling for President Trump's impeachment.
Meanwhile, we've learned Elizabeth Warren raised more than $19 million during the second quarter of this year. She beat Bernie Sanders, who raised $18 million, and trailed only Pete Buttigieg and Joe Biden. Warren, like Sanders, accepts money from only small donors.
Number 4 now, the family of a man who died after consuming too much caffeine is warning others.
Lachlan Foote died at his home in Australia last year, the day before his 22nd birthday. He added 1 teaspoon of caffeine powder to his protein shake. A coroner's report recently concluded that he died from caffeine toxicity.
That 1 teaspoon, they say, was equal to between 25 and 50 cups of coffee. Most caffeine powders are banned in the U.S. Foote's family wants Australia to do the same.
And finally, number 5, if you feel like slacking off at work, Netflix has a sneaky new option. You can binge your favorite shows while pretending to work.
Sounds good, right? Netflix Hangouts is a new extension on Google Chrome that lets you watch shows but makes it look like a conference call. Whatever you're watching appears to be a 4-person conference call.
But one of the calls is actually a program on the streaming service.
We've got so much more to talk about coming your way.
Stream us. We'll give you something to talk about.
We sure will.
It's Morning America.
Hello. Let's get to the record flooding that slammed the Mid-Atlantic. That cleanup is just beginning this morning.
The Washington, D.C. area got socked and got soaked with nearly 1 month's worth of rain in one morning. The rainfall breaking a 148-year-old record.
Meanwhile, the next big concern is a possible tropical storm that's brewing in the Gulf of Mexico. It could impact millions of Americans this week. ABC's Trevor Ault begins our coverage. Trevor, good morning.
Good morning, Janae and Kenneth. I know that you guys know just how bad D.C.'s traffic notoriously is, but yesterday morning you legitimately would have needed a boat to get through some of these roads.
This morning, the D.C. metro area trying to dry off after nearly a month's worth of rain in one morning.
Never seen nothing like this before. Never seen nothing like this.
The torrent of rainfall washing out roads around Virginia and Maryland. Dozens of water rescues called in for stranded drivers, some of them forced to climb on top of their cars to avoid the rushing waters below.
I was stopped at the light. Bus came through. It was like a tidal wave hit me. Boom!
The rain pummeling the area as thousands were on their way to work Monday. Commuters caught in the middle. In Arlington, Virginia, a train forced to plow through a waterfall coming down through the ceiling of a D.C. metro station, and what appears to be a raging river swamping this parking garage. Even the White House among those seeing signs of flooding, and electrical outages also reported at the National Archives building. Officials saying the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution are safe. Others not so lucky. A mudslide in Potomac, Maryland, collapsing the wall of this house. And in Virginia, a hardware store owner trying in vain to protect her business.
By the time I left the basement, I swam out of it. It was probably close to my shoulder height.
The floodwaters now receding as a new weather system takes shape. A possible tropical depression developing in the Gulf over the next 5 days, likely leading to heavy rainfall from Texas to the Florida Panhandle.
Officials continue to release more information about just how dangerous and chaotic this flash flooding was. So far in total, more than 75 water rescues have been reported in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. And we also know that about 10,000 customers lost power yesterday morning, including the National Archives. Most people have power back. The National Archives do not. They're going to have to be closed today while they try to get the electricity back on. Janae, Kenneth.
So, Trevor, you have to tell us, how was your commute? And after we saw all the rain there on Canal Road, as you know, I'm still D.C. based. I hope you checked on my home for me.
That's right.
But you made it in safely, I see.
I made it in safely today. I had a bad commute home yesterday, not because I got stranded, but because I got made fun of by my Uber driver for not walking in the rain. I got into the car, and I usually walk because I live like 10 blocks away, and he's like, "Oh, can't handle the rain, huh?" It's historic flash flooding.
When the Uber driver is shading you.
Yeah.
And there's not a good shade in that. 1 star. He probably gave you 1 star as well.
Were the roads, because I mean, we're familiar with the D.C. Bureau in downtown D.C. Were you seeing much puddling or flooding around that area?
Not a ton of flooding itself, but it was coming down like crazy. And I got the notification on my phone in my office, and I dismissed the flash flooding. I just thought it was like one of those regular alerts on your phone. But yeah, it was coming down much harder than I've seen it, for sure.
Well, I know you're somewhat new to the D.C. area, but if you go along Canal Road, which you needed a boat to, or Georgetown area, I'm giving you some tips. So we would like to see you live from there next time instead of dry inside the D.C. Bureau.
Okay. Let's make that happen.
Do you have a life vest in your
office? With your poncho.
We're pretty much doing what the Uber driver did to you as well.
Yes, we would like to shame you a little bit.
Thank
you so much,
Thank you,
Trevor, for joining us.
Good to be with you.
All right, the governor of New York has signed a law that could give key members of Congress access to President Trump's state tax returns. Those taxes could reveal many of the same details found in the president's federal tax returns, which he's refused to release. Republicans are vowing to challenge the New York law. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is blasting President Trump over his fight to add a citizenship question to the 2020 census, saying he wants to make America white again.
Her comments came on the same day Attorney General William Barr said he sees a legal way to ask respondents if they are citizens and plans to take action soon. That's despite a Supreme Court ruling blocking the question that Pelosi and others say would result in undercounting migrants.
You know, this hat, make America white again. They want to make sure that certain people are counted.
Experts say low participation in the census from immigrants would shift money and political power away from Democratic-led cities to wider rural areas dominated by Republicans.
Raising the minimum wage to $15, as some Democrats are proposing, would have pluses and minuses for workers. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office says the increase would boost the income of about 27 million people. 1.3 million would be lifted out of poverty, but the CBO also says an equal number of jobs, 1.3 million, might be lost.
President Trump has declared a state of emergency for California after those 2 large earthquakes. The declaration frees up disaster relief money. A local bank is also offering short-term low-interest loans so people can replace food and medical supplies. Some people are still sleeping outside, fearing another strong aftershock. ABC's Marcus Moore is in the quake zone.
Many people in this part of Southern California are rattled as they endure aftershocks and try to recover from 2 powerful earthquakes, including the one that happened on Friday. And that severe shaking scarred the landscape. Look at this. There is a crack that stretches through the desert for as far as the eye can see.
Wow. Meanwhile, some encouraging news. The hospital near the epicenter of last week's quake is now fully operational.
Now to the case against multi-millionaire Jeffrey Epstein, who has previous ties to President Trump and former President Bill Clinton. Epstein has pleaded not guilty to sex trafficking charges. Prosecutors say they found hundreds of suggestive photos of girls at his mansion, and now his alleged victims fear he'll use one of his private jets and his 2 private islands in the Caribbean to escape the charges. This morning, prosecutors are fighting to keep politically connected financier Jeffrey Epstein behind bars. They say he sexually assaulted dozens of young girls at his homes in New York and Florida.
We think he has every incentive to try and flee the jurisdiction. And when you have 2 planes and you live much of the year abroad, we think that's a very real risk.
Agents raided his $77 million Manhattan mansion, one of the largest private homes in New York. They say they found hundreds of female nude photographs, some categorized.
The alleged behavior shocks the conscience.
The indictment claims Epstein recruited girls to engage in sex acts with him, after which he would give the victims hundreds of dollars in cash. ABC's Tom Yamas spoke to two of Epstein's alleged Florida victims.
When you saw him, it just brought back bad memories?
Yeah, it brought back the last time I saw him, which was right there at the massage table, and it just started making me feel uneasy, nervous.
Courtney Wild says she was assaulted in Epstein's home when she was 14. She spoke to us on her way to court Monday.
Just to hear that they're standing up for the victims, you know what I mean? It's just like so overwhelmingly it's past due.
In 2007, Epstein faced similar charges in Florida, but struck a controversial plea deal, serving only 13 months in jail. His political connections now once again in the spotlight. In a 2002 profile in New York Magazine, before any allegation surfaced, Donald Trump is quoted as saying this about Epstein. It's even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it, Jeffrey enjoys his social life. And a spokesman for former President Bill Clinton released this statement last night, saying the former president knows nothing about the terrible crimes Jeffrey Epstein pleaded guilty to in Florida or those with which he has been recently charged in New York. A judge will decide next week whether Epstein is released on bail. Meanwhile, the alleged victim's lawyer saying this indictment has been a long time coming.
The only reason that I can think of that it took so long to bring this indictment is that the times have changed. People care more now, and victim blaming is somewhat a thing of the past.
Epstein's attorneys argue these charges feel like double jeopardy, but prosecutors say the previous immunity deal was only for Florida, not for New York.
A Massachusetts judge could soon dismiss the sexual assault case against actor Kevin Spacey. The young man accusing Spacey of groping him in a bar invoked the Fifth Amendment Monday when asked whether he deleted messages from his phone. The judge appeared to agree with defense attorneys that the case should be dismissed, but he did not make a ruling. The accuser's parents also testified about his phone.
I deleted a few things.
I think you've had way too many questions that have gone way too far.
Sir, listen to me. You keep this up, I'm going to hold you in contempt.
The accuser's mother insisted she did not delete any text messages relevant to the night in question, but that phone is still missing. Prosecutors asked the judge for at least a week to decide whether to proceed with the case.
Instagram is cracking down on online bullying with two new features. One of the tools asks those about to post offensive comments to think twice before hitting send. The other allows users to automatically hide messages from people they don't want posting to them.
Well, coming up, Coco Gauff's run at Wimbledon is over.
But two more American women are facing off in this morning's quarterfinals. More when we come back. Welcome back. Iran has breached a 2015 nuclear deal, exceeding limits on uranium enrichment.
As tensions escalate with Washington, Iran is turning up the pressure on Europe to find a way around crippling U.S. sanctions. More now from ABC's Brad Mielke.
Hey guys, that's right. Iran had warned this was coming, but now they've gone ahead and done it. International observers say that Iran has broken the rules on that nuclear agreement the U.S. backed out of a year ago. And this is something Europe desperately wanted to avoid because those countries are still in that agreement. But Iran has said that is not enough. It wants the full economic relief it was promised. But here's the thing. We talk about enriched uranium all the time. What does that actually mean? I asked ABC's Connor Finnegan at the State Department how worrisome this actually is.
Uranium has to be enriched at a high enough level in order to produce enough nuclear material to create a nuclear bomb. And so what Iran has done in the last 24 hours is breach the caps on the level of enrichment, 3.67%. They're now going up to 4.5%. They said they may go as high as 20%, but it is still far short of the over 90% needed to create a nuclear bomb. What's also important is the amount of nuclear fuel, the amount of enriched uranium. Last week, Iran breached the limits on its stockpile of enriched material, but they still need triple of the amount that they have in order to create a nuclear weapon.
He does say, make no mistake, this is not about nuclear power plants. This is about Iran trying to freak out Europe enough to the point where it strains their relationship with the U.S. And as we've seen in recent diplomatic spats, they could very well get their wish. We'll have a lot more on the Iranian game plan on Start Here later this morning. Listen on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcasting app. Janae, Kenneth?
Our thanks to Brother for that breakdown. Now to Hong Kong, where mass protests have been heating up over the past month, and now the city's leader says the controversial bill that started it all is dead. Let's go across the pond now to Jennifer Eccleston in the London Bureau for more. Good morning, Jennifer.
Hey, good morning, guys. This is breaking overnight, a follow-up to yesterday's story out of Hong Kong. Its leader, Carrie Lam, says the controversial extradition bill is dead and calls her government's efforts to amend it after massive protests a complete failure. We've been watching critics of that bill amass across Hong Kong over the last month, as many as 2 million voicing their anger, some even storming the legislature and violently clashing with police. The bottom line of their anger and their fear, well, that's the extradition law represents Beijing's creeping authority into the semi-autonomous state with its democracy in peril. That's the fear. But today's scrapping of the deal is one of the demands from civil rights groups and protesters. They would also like to see Carrie Lam step down. Some are casting doubts on whether she is truly killing the bill or setting it aside for calmer times. So lots of mistrust at this stage.
And Jennifer, from Hong Kong to Spain now, where the annual running of the bulls is going on this week. We know already several people have been gored, but that's not the only concern. Tell us about that.
Yeah, something different. The northern Spanish city of Pamplona this week opens its famous Running of the Bulls festivals, where thousands of tourists descend upon the town to watch people dodge bulls tearing through these tiny streets. It can be a dangerous exercise. Case in point, as you mentioned, was an American was gored by a bull this weekend. But the festival's also been plagued by assaults on women, and not by the bulls. So this year's organizers are taking measures to better safeguard women during the 9-day event after a series of sexual assaults during past festivals. Police say they're upping the surveillance, setting up booths with resources dedicated to abuse, and launching a cell phone app for women to report those abuses.
Wow, just incredible there. And back there in London, Wimbledon is into the quarterfinals, and 15-year-old phenom Coco Gauff has been eliminated, but American women are still in the spotlight as Serena Williams and Alison Riske face off this morning.
Yeah, that's right. It was a humble wave goodbye from the court at Wimbledon. But this last week, Coco Gauff has introduced herself to the world with her massive grit and comeback spirit.
I hope they learned about me that I'm a fighter and I'll never give up. And I hope they learned from me that, I mean, anything is possible if you work hard and just continue to dream big. I mean, like I said, if somebody told me this maybe 3 weeks ago, I probably wouldn't believe it.
When the crowd roared with delight at the end of the match yesterday, it was pretty clear they were applauding the victor, but also the 15-year-old from Florida who captured hearts and many, many more fans of tennis. Now, as you said, Serena Williams also survived her round, and so did another American player, 29-year-old Alison Riske. She's playing Serena today, so lots of great sport here in London for the next couple of days.
All right.
Back to you guys.
We'll be watching.
Yes,
Jennifer,
definitely.
thank you for joining us this morning.
All right, so let's check our notifications now, starting with Snowball, the cockatoo who was busted and moved, showing off his choreography. Apparently, researchers found that this parrot learned on his or her own how to dance. No one taught the parrot. It knows how to do several different types of dances.
We're with it.
Yeah.
And we might have a new world record. A soldier in Michigan claims he's done almost 4,700 burpees for charity.
Oh my
In an
gosh.
attempt at the world record, he did it in 12 hours, chest to floor.
I can only do like 10 at a time.
Incredible.
Oh gosh. All right, so next watch this cat sneaking up on its owner. Wait for it. Wait for it.
The cat's just staring.
Wait, is he there?
Oh.
Trying to sneak up on him?
Oh,
Come around the corner.
Whoa!
Oh!
All right. All right. All right.
Cat
Lay
came out
off
of
the catnip.
nowhere. Oh my God. Sneaky,
creepy
sneaky
cat.
It's like, oh, look at a scary movie there.
Lord.
When it get the scary thing just keeps getting
Yeah.
closer and closer. All right, and a rainy night along Florida's Gulf Coast saw something else fall from the sky.
You guys.
Yep, a person. Florida man story.
Security video from a Fort Myers car dealership shows this man coming out of nowhere, landing on the roof of the car. His shoe goes flying, his head hits hard, but then he gets up and walks away like nothing happened. Workers checked the tape after showing up for work Monday and noticing a big old dent in the roof. They posted this video to the dealership's Facebook page with the words, "You can't fix stupid." Who is this man? Where did he come from? And that's our question of the day. What do you think happened here?
Ooh,
what do you think?
Head.
You think he just fell out of the sky? Tell us your theory in the comments or tweet us at ABC News Live.
A bird, a plane, a Florida man. Coming up, Team USA is home from France after winning the Women's World Cup.
Hear their message to fans and the young girls who look up to them after this.
Here's what to watch out for today. President Trump welcomes the Emir of Qatar to the White House for a bilateral meeting and working lunch. Faith leaders are holding a rally to push the Trump administration to avoid a war with Iran, calling on lawmakers to support the National Defense Authorization Act to ensure no president can take military action without the support of Congress.
A federal appeals court will hear arguments in a case seeking to overturn Obamacare if the three-judge panel upholds the decision by a Texas judge to invalidate the entire law over the loss of the individual mandate. It could impact millions of Americans. They would lose protections for pre-existing conditions as well as other benefits. A decision is expected by the end of the summer. And the Stars will be out tonight in Cleveland for Major League Baseball's All-Star Game. New York Mets star Pete Alonso won the home run derby last night, hitting 3 walk-off homers to eliminate hometown favorite Carlos Santana.
Plus, don't forget to tune into the debrief for an update on all our top stories and the briefing room for a breakdown of the latest headlines in politics.
Well, now to the other All-Stars. Team USA's triumphant return home after their dramatic victory in the World Cup final.
They're getting a Shiro's welcome home while sharing stories of their hard-fought win. Chanting, "We are the champions," the U.S. women's soccer team touched down at Newark Airport in New Jersey, finally home.
We're so happy to be back.
Getting ready for the ticker tape parade in New York City tomorrow, team star Megan Rapinoe showed fans a photo of her back in 1999 when she was watching the Women's World Cup from the stands, dreaming of a moment like this.
My friend just sent this to me from the '99 World Cup. All those kids that were over there supporting us and supporting us at home, you can be standing in front of these microphones any day.
The hero of the final game, Rose Lavelle, gave thanks to all the U.S. fans who traveled to France.
First off, I just have to thank the fans because I think every single game, it was basically a home game for us. I think the fans really showed up for us, and we felt it every time we stepped down on the field, and they were a huge part of our success.
This morning, Sports Illustrated out with this cover, calling the team world-class, unflappable, and unequal, saying it was the most competitive Women's World Cup yet. The team's hard work and determination are paying off, and now they say they're more hopeful than ever they can win their legal battle for equal pay in their sport.
Equal pay! Equal pay! Equal pay!
But most important, they say, is the message they can send to all young girls.
Go for it. Dream big. Go for everything you ever wanted.
So Team USA is in Times Square right now for an exclusive interview on Good Morning America. You can watch that later today right here on ABC News Live, so make sure you tune in for that.
Absolutely. We'll be seeing a lot more of them. Of course, there's that ticker tape parade tomorrow here in New York, and then the team will be at the S-Bays in LA, so we'll see a lot of them and get to celebrate them a bunch.
Can't wait.
For now, that's it from us.
Have a good one. See you tomorrow.